Thank you for joining EdPlace live lessons from your homes. I'm Mrs. Corden, and you've joined us for a Year 4 maths lesson today. We're an online digital learning platform written by teachers for children in Year 1 to Year 11, offering English, maths, science, and 11 plus self-marked activities written by fully qualified teachers. We're bringing live English, maths and science lessons into your homes during the school closure period. So why not join us over the next few weeks as we tackle some key topics? You might find it useful to have a pen and paper handy as we go, so that you can make a note of key ideas or jot things down. You'll also need access to your EdPlace account. If you don't have an EdPlace account, do not worry. You can access all of our activities if you go to edplace.com. We'll go over this in more detail when we get to that part. So, welcome to today's Year 4 maths lesson on fractions with Mrs. Corden. By the end of today's lesson, we're aiming to have achieved either one or all of the following 3 steps. Understand how to find unit and non-unit fractions of numbers and amounts. Apply this understanding to find whole number fractions of numbers. Explain this and apply it to word problems. Before we jump into finding fractions of numbers or amounts, it's important that we make sure we all understand what a fraction of an amount or number is. A fraction is a part of a shape, a whole group of objects, or a number. A proper fraction is always worth less than the whole shape or amount. When a shape is split into fractional parts, they are equally sized, and the original shape or number represents the whole, but each part is a fraction of it. Here we can see the triangle represents one whole, and when it is shared into 2 equal pieces, each one represents a half. We can use sharing or dividing to find fractions of amounts. This can be done by sharing objects into physical groups. The original number represents the whole, but each group or part is a small fraction of it. Here we can see that the first group has 8 circles. This is the whole. When the circles are shared into 4 equal groups, we call these quarters. 8 can be shared into 4 equal groups. The number on the bottom of the fraction, the denominator, tells us how many groups there are, and the number on the top of the fraction, the numerator, tells us how many groups we are thinking about. Here is 1/4, 1 out of 4 groups. 1/4 of 8 is 2. When we need to find a fraction of a number, we can do this by dividing or sharing an amount out equally as follows. Here we're asked to find half of 6. Can you work out how many groups there will be? If you said 2, that's correct. The denominator in 1/2 is 2, so we divide by 2 or into 2 groups. Remember, the groups have to be the same size. Look, the whole number of 6 has been split into 2 equally sized groups. These are halves. 6 divided by 2 is 3. We can see each group has 3 squares. This is half of 6. In Year 4, you'll probably be working mostly without diagrams. But remember, you can always use jottings and pictures in maths to aid your mental calculations. So, to find a fraction of a number or an amount, we simply divide the total or whole by the denominator, because this tells us the number of pieces the whole needs to be split into. A top tip here is to use your times tables facts to help you. This is pretty simple when we're finding a unit fraction, like this example. This is when the numerator or top number of the fraction is 1. Here we're asked to find 1/5. So, you guessed it, we need to divide by 5. We can use our times tables to solve this one. 5 lots of 4 is 20. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. So Because we know that 20 divided by 5 is 4, we can say that 1/5 of 20 is 4. Easy peasy. Now, let's try another one. In this example, we are finding a sixth. So, that means we have to divide the whole number by 6. Let's use those times tables facts again. 6 lots of 5 is 30. So, 30 divided by 6 is 5. So, because we know that 30 divided by 6 is 5, we can say that 1/6 of 30 is 5. Now for the next step. Things get a bit trickier when we need to find a non-unit fraction, because our calculation will need 2 steps instead of 1. Non-unit fractions are fractions where the numerator is larger than 1. We're still going to start by finding 1/5, because our fraction has 5 as a denominator. To find 2/5 of 40, we first find 1/5 by dividing. This is step 1. 40 divided by 5 equals 8. So now we know that 8 is 1/5 of 40. Next, step 2 is to find 2/5 by multiplying. 1/5 of 40 equals 8. So to find 2/5, we need to find 2 lots of 8. 8 times 2 equals 16. So, because 1/5 of 40 is 8, 2/5 of 40 is 16. Let's just look at one more example before you start on an activity by yourself. In this last example, we're going to find 3/4 of 24. We're still going to start by finding a quarter, because our fraction has 4 as a denominator. This means we divide by 4. To find 3/4 of 24, we first find 1/4. 24 divided by 4 equals 6. So now we know that 6 is 1/4 of 24. Next, step 2 is to find 3/4 by multiplying. 1/4 of 24 equals 6. So to find 3/4, we need 3 lots of 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So, because 1/4 of 24 is 6, 3/4 of 24 is 18. Now you've watched this short introduction, we think you're ready to tackle the activity. Please log into your EdPlace account or go to www.edplace.com. You can work through the activity and then we will revisit some of the questions together. The next slide will show you the activity we're going to use today. The activity we are looking for is called Work Out the Fraction. Whether you have an EdPlace account or not, we follow a very similar path to find it. Those of you with an account go straight to Maths, select Year 4 and Fractions and Decimals. The activity will be found here. Look for Work Out the Fraction. For those of you without an account, you should go to the Learn tab on the website, then Maths. From here, you can select Year 4, National Curriculum View, Number, and Fractions and Decimals. The activity will be found here and it's called Work Out the Fraction. Click on the activity to start. If you're struggling to find the activity, you can visit the support site on screen, which gives you a walkthrough of how to find activities. Let's just check we've all got the right activity. This is the introduction you should be able to see. If this isn't what you can see, go back and check the previous instructions to make sure you're looking at the right activity. If you can see this introduction, you're ready to get started. Let's look back at some of the questions you've just completed. Question 1 asks us to find 1/4 of 4. 1/4 has 4 as the denominator, so this is what we divide by. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So we can say that 1/4 of 4 is 1. Well done if you got this one correct, as that means you've understood what a fraction of an amount means. Let's try this one. This looks a little different as the fraction has been written in words. The denominator here is 10 because the fraction is 1/10. 380 divided by 10 is 38. So 1/10 of 380 is 38. Well done if you got this one right. What a fraction star you are. Here's our third example. To find 1/5, what will we have to divide by? Did you say 5? Excellent. 65 divided by 5 is 13. Well done if you got this one correct, as it took a little more thought. Let's recap what we set out to do today. How did you get on? Do you now understand how to find unit and non-unit fractions of numbers and amounts? Can you now apply your knowledge in the example question? Lastly, do you think you could explain this to someone else and use it to solve a word problem? If you've met all or just one of these, well done, you've achieved the objectives for today. We know that some of you will feel you need a little more practice to really master these skills, while others of you are ready for your next challenge. To help you know which activity to select next, here are some suggestions. The activity we just tried is listed as Activity 3. If it felt a little tricky for you, why not try Activity 1 or 2 to gain confidence in the skills you need? Then give it another go to see if you're more ready to tackle it this time. Notice that Activity 1 will be found in the Year 3 section. If you feel confident with unit fractions and want to try non-unit fractions, then you could either try Activity 4 or 5. Activity 5 is in the Year 5 section of the website, as it's a little more challenging. Good luck, Math Stars! As we finish up for today, here are some other places you can find us or access support. We look forward to working with you again soon, and keep practicing in the meantime.